Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make atmospheric house like Learn. As usual, you get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets, all that stuff from this video in the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check that because it's already available. And yeah, let's dive in. So this loop here in the intro, we're at 124 BPM. The first sound that we have here is this chord stab, which sounds like this. So here's the MIDI, you can see here's the pattern, and what's happening is there's actually no chords happening in the MIDI. If I turn off this chord thing here, you can see it's literally just the root notes and then an octave up of those with the higher notes. Nothing really too complicated. And then where the actual chords come from is from this chord MIDI device. So what this is, if you don't know, is a device in Ableton, and what it allows you to do is just set a chord, and then you can play that across every key, as you can see. And it's the same chord everywhere. It's very similar to the sort of like chord memory sound that was used a lot on like a lot of old school house tracks, where you're essentially just taking one chord shape and sampling it, and you get all those like kind of cool things like that. So what I've done here is, you can see I've set up a minor ninth chord. Actually, we've got the minor third, the fifth, the minor seventh, and then a ninth on top of that. And then yeah, so this is really just playing a minor 9 chord down all these notes. We got F, D sharp, and then A sharp. So it's actually pretty simple, but that's definitely a really good way of doing this. Because again, it kind of harkens back to that more like old school sound. For the sound on this one, it's been using analog. You can see we've got a saw wave and then a square wave. The square wave is 2 octaves up from the saw wave. And yeah, then those are going into a low pass, which you can see I've got an envelope set like this. It's very quick on there. Then the last thing we have is just a bit of vibrato and then a bit of unison as well. And yeah, then we just have a bit of chorus to kind of spread the sound out and make it a bit bigger. Then we have echo and reverb. These are giving the sound some space. Here's without these. And then with them, so you can hear it really helps with like the atmospheric part of the sound. Then after that, we just have a drum bus to fatten it up a bit and make it a bit stronger. And then we have a high pass filter cutting out the low end. And that is it for the chord stab. The next sound that we have here is the bass, which sounds like this. This is a really simple bass line. It's just following the chord stabs. You know, with this style, with a lot of these type of tracks, you just want something simple and clean that's going to just give you like a powerful low end. And yeah, that's what this is. So you can see there in the notes, again, just F, D sharp, and A sharp. But the sound on this one is also really simple. So you can see we just have a sine wave, literally nothing else on it inside of operator. Just a sine wave, and then I have a bit of saturation to fatten it up. And then it's just being side chained to the kick. Again, it's a really simple sound. Like, the way I think of it is like with these kinds of tracks, you don't want to notice the bass. You just want it to be there and have it be this powerful fat low end in your track. But it's not supposed to call attention to itself. It's just supposed to be in there kind of serving the track. So yeah, then we've got this little vocal stab, which sounds like this. So this is basically this little vocal stab that I had. You can see, and then I just shortened it a bit. I gave it a bit of an envelope as well. I'm just playing A sharp, which is the key of our track. But yeah, so really simple sound, you know, just giving us like a little kind of like background sound, so it's not just the chords and bass. Yeah, so for effects on this one, you can see we just have a bit of echo. It's not synced. I've got it on it's at 111 milliseconds. It's also on the ping pong setting, so it's a bit wider. Then we've got a bit of drum bus to fatten the sound up and make it a bit bigger and more full. And this also brings out the echo a little bit. And then the last thing we have on there is just a high pass filter cutting out the low end. And that is it for the vocal. The next sound that we have here is the kick, which sounds like this. So the main thing you might be noticing if you watch one of my other videos with this kick is that the kick is actually in the group with the rest of the drums and not with the bass. And there's a very good reason for this. So you listen to how crunchy these drums are. Listen to what happens if I turn the kick off. You don't get that like same kind of crunch with the clap and the hi-hats as you do when it's hitting with the kick. So I put the kick in the groove here, and then to get the bass to sound fat, it's just all in the mixing. It's like, usually the bass would sound really fat because it's being grouped together with the kick. Here, you just have to try and do everything you can to make sure the bass is still loud and fat in the mix. But if you want this crunchy sort of like drum sound, putting the kick in the group with the rest of the drums is the way you do that, because everything is being saturated, which we'll get to when we get to that, but it's like you can hear that clap. Crunching off of it. And yeah, so that's why we have the kick in the group with the drums. Now, with this one, you can see it's just a sort of like shorter, more punchy kick. Where you can see like the transient isn't the sharpest, but it still hits really hard. And then we have this really fat body. Then I just have a bit of saturation and some drum bus, so both of these are just fattening the sound up even more. And then we have this EQ8, and this is actually just cutting out some mud. If I turn this off, you can actually do this. You can hear like that frequency range. I just turned it down all the way because you can hear if I turn this EQ off, it has kind of like a nasty sort of low mid-range thing. But this just cleans that out. And yeah, that is it for the kick. After that, we have this hi-hat, which sounds like this. Pretty simple stuff here. You can see it's just this like kind of nice hard hitting hi-hat. I've got it going through through a low pass filter. Here's without this. And then with it, so you can hear this just gives it a little bit more of like a lo-fi kind of texture by cutting out those very high highs while still being like very subtle. It's subtle, but it's definitely very noticeable. And yeah, then after that we have these two percussions. And yeah, you can hear just like a little sort of like snare type of sound. And then this one, which is more like in the high end. And then the last percussion sound we have here is this ride, which sounds like this. And yeah, so this is just a simple ride cymbal. Yeah, just super like drum machine-esque. And then I just have that going through a high pass filter. And so this is also part of the reason why we low pass the hi-hat. Is because this ride is giving us a lot of bright high end. So we kind of want this one to be more in the mid-range. And they fit together a little better now. And yeah, and then I have all that percussion in a group, which just has a little bit of saturation on it. Here's without that. You can hear it's subtle, but it just gives it that extra little like bump to really hit hard. And to be as full as it needs to be in the mix. So then we have the clap, which sounds like this. And yeah, this one's pretty simple. It's more just about finding like this very fat and full sounding clap. And then I just have that going through a bit of saturation. And then on the group of the drums, you see we have a few effects. So here, I'll turn the effects off and just show you what it sounds like without these. So you can hear it's honestly pretty much at the same level of like power and volume, but you can hear when I turn these on, it's really gluing these together. And this is what you're trying to get. Is that like really tight, glued together sound. You know, you want your drums to all kind of sound like they're going through the same processing. And so the simplest way to do that is to literally put them through the same processing. So first thing we have here is the saturator. Here's without it. And And then with it, you can hear this is the thing that's crunching all these sounds together, like when you hear the kick and clap crunching together. That's what's doing it. And then I also just set the bass frequency up on that a little bit. That's really going to help. Like this analog clip setting, if I turn the color off and then on, you can hear that's what you need to like get the crunch to it. You have to turn that bass frequency up. Then after that, we have the EQ8. Here's without it. And so it's just boosting the low end, boosting the high end a little bit, kind of like focusing it. And I think what's really happening is this is boosting those frequencies. So then going into this next thing here, which is this compressor. Those are the loudest things, so the compressor is kind of like enhancing that even more. And yeah, then we have the compressor. You can see this is actually a pretty heavy compression. The secret here is turning the attack up. So the attack is how long it takes for your compression to kick in. So like, if you look at this arm, the one-shot mode, see how I can turn this fade in up on the kick here? And it kind of like makes it go into the sound like that. That's the exact same thing that we're doing with the attack on the compressor. It's just making it so it comes in a little bit later, so it's not going to mess up the transients or any of the things that are going to make these drums punchy. It's just compressing the body of the sounds and like bringing up the reverb and the clap. You know, bringing up that ride. Stuff like that. But yeah, I think the compression is really the last thing that it needs. Because like when I was putting this up against reference tracks, it's really not enough to just saturate it. You need the compressor to really kind of like squash these drums in a controlled and clean way. So yeah, then the last thing we have here is just this vinyl noise. So you can hear, yeah, just some simple vinyl noise just playing in the background. This is the last thing that I noticed, like, putting this up against reference tracks, like, if you don't add this to your track, it's really not going to have the same atmosphere. Like, if I turn it off. You can hear when I turn it off and then on again, like, it just gives it that extra little, like, on top that I feel like really ties the whole thing together and makes it all really have like a cohesive atmosphere. It's like your brain is hearing these crunchy drums and the super old school chord stab. So then this is just like that last little thing to kind of tell like, okay, this has like a old school influence to it or whatever it may be, but it just adds that extra little bit of atmosphere to really tie the track together. And yeah, I don't even have any processing on that. It's just playing in the background. You can see it is a little bit louder than everything else does. So that's the only thing. It's like just making it loud enough to where you can hear it in the mix, but to where it's not taking over the whole mix. Because I can do like this. And that's like a bit too much. But right here, it's perfect. So yeah, that is it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets, all that stuff from this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.